89% of Netflix subscribers are between the age of 18 and 24. Netflix is using the huge amount of data they receive every day, not just to predict what type of movies and TV shows are trending among this group, but to also create shows that appeal to them. For example, after the huge success of Squid Game, Netflix kept pushing Korean movies and dramas, and they recently released a new Korean zombie show, All of Us Are Dead. And when we realized that over the past 5 years, Netflix bought and produced more than just a number of apocalyptic shows and movies, you realize that the millennials really do like the idea of destruction, cyberpunk, discredited authorities, societal collapse, and nihilism. Hello everyone, welcome back to Visual Literacy Hub. This is Angela. I created this channel to record my daily observations and analysis about this very visual world that we live in. My analysis is 100% personal, nothing professional. This is about you and I together to see, think, and share. Well, let the fun begin! First, let me share some of my favorite apocalyptic movies and shows with you. And I'm going to introduce them in 3 categories: pre-apocalyptic, apocalyptic, and post-apocalyptic. First of all, pre-apocalyptic shows are a rising popular genre. In the last decade, the more evident climate change, economic turbulence, pandemic, and increasing political tension are causing the millennials to have very little faith in a future where they will have a steady job to pay the bills, able to travel around whenever they like, or even just to live in a peaceful country. Pre-apocalyptic shows allow them to mentally rehearse what could happen in the worst-case scenario. For example, the comedy drama You, Me and the Apocalypse, released in 2015, had 5 million people tuned in for the first episode. The story is about when an asteroid heads to Earth and nothing can be done, how the population of Earth face the end of their stories. Sound familiar? Yeah, a movie that Don't Look Up should pay a salute to. This show is fast, hilarious, religious, dark, emotional, and cruel at the very same time. With the development of the story, the gradual clarity of the multi-stranded plot, twists and black humor one after another, I was deeply engaged when watching the show. The ending also completely blew my mind. Another one I recommend is Rubber. Rubber is a surreal comedy movie about a killer type that can destroy anything with superpower, and eventually gathered a whole bunch of objects to take over society. That should be more than enough to get you interested. It's both completely pointless and incredibly brilliant. There's no logic behind anything. It's a movie that demonstrates that nothing matters. And I will leave the interpretation to you. Next, we have an apocalyptic movie that shows you what could practically happen during a nuclear war. Yes, zombies are horrible and natural disasters are scary, but what is more scary is men fighting against each other and common hopes and agreements broken to pieces. This movie, The Day After, depicts a depressing, disturbing picture of a nuclear war. The mushroom cloud, flesh is reduced to shadows burnt on the wall, and radiation sickness. Visuals like this make all of your daily concerns seem meaningless. Einstein said that he didn't know how the Third World War could be fought, but the fourth one will be fought with stones and sticks. It tells one simple fact, that no one, not a single country, can be prepared for or handle the consequences of a nuclear war. There will be no winners. We need movies like this because we just can't afford to forget about the price of modern warfare. Now, let's get to my favorite post-apocalyptic movie series, Mad Max. So the very first Mad Max movie was released in 1979, and it was actually a pre-apocalyptic movie. It was until the second one, The Road Warrior, that we saw a post-apocalyptic world. For those who haven't heard about the movie, it follows the life of Max, a man who attempts to survive as a lone warrior in future Australia that suffers from a societal collapse due to war and resource shortages, and who helps small pockets of civilization across outback Australia, or in other terms, wasteland. Whether it is the leading characters or the elements of diesel punk, the various themes and messages it successfully carried, or the unforgettable visuals and performance. This is a series that's worthy of a movie marathon. I have attached a full list of favorite apocalyptic movies in the description, this time with final categories of pretty much every subgenre that you can find. So check them out. Maybe a weekend apocalyptic marathon with friends or family? When it comes to my personal standard of judging the quality of apocalyptic movies, or any movies basically, I have three very simple questions to ask myself. When watching it for the first time, does it make me think? Do I want to watch it again? And when I do watch it again, does it inspire any new thoughts? I'm going to give you an example to explain why I think some apocalyptic movies are better than others. It is the movie Children of Men, which depicts the story of a dystopian near future where all women are infertile and humanity is on the verge of extinction. It stars Clive Owen as the protagonist hired to protect the only pregnant woman in the world from the people who want to take advantage of her baby. A cold, dim visual sets the tone from the beginning. When birth stopped, mankind lost the basic condition for hope, our next generation. Soon, depression followed, innovation stopped, economy collapsed, mass displacement happened. All of these caused huge conflicts among governments, religions, and ideologies. For those countries that are still functioning, the number of refugees are strictly controlled, concentration camps established, which leads to resistance. But when the newborn baby was carried down the hallway, all of the madness stopped to give way. The soldiers forgot their guns, the rioters forgot their hatred, the poor people forgot their desperation. The baby's cry became the most beautiful sound. Children of Men tells us that the power to destroy is dependent on the power to create. After all, if there's nothing left in the world to destroy, destruction becomes meaningless. And if all that's left is destruction, whoever holds the power to create becomes the king. Children of Men is a great example of what an apocalyptic movie can be. It has the cinematography, the story, the acting, the well-portrayed underlying themes, and the ability to constantly trigger new thinking. On the other hand, we have some, I wouldn't call them bad movies because most of them at least provide some good CG, but they're definitely nowhere near movies like Children of Men. I call them fast food apocalyptic movies. These movies leave no other impression in my head but endless explosions, collapsing landmarks, running zombies, screaming characters. I'm not saying movies with these cliches can't turn out to be great apocalyptic movies. One of my favorite zombie movies, Train to Busan, did a fantastic job using these common conventions and common themes like family, empathy, sacrifice, individualism versus collectivism, government incompetence. But interestingly, Train to Busan number 2 is a perfect example of how to ruin such a successful series. To save your money from watching it, it's about a former soldier, along with his teammates, sets out on the mission to battle zombies in the Korean Peninsula wasteland to retrieve a truck full of cash. The movie went against the very essence of the first one. It's bad for many reasons, and here's just a couple of them. First, obviously, trying to target the Western market, the scenes involved an American gangster and a whole bunch of meaningless Fast and Furious car chases with poor CG. Second, whatever theme it was trying to make about class and race is lost in its artificial action and poor visuals. Audience were hoping to see a more, or at least similarly dark atmosphere with deeper themes and a broader scope. And all they got is Fight Club within a confined space. Pretty much a crappy, boring version of Squid Game patched with some Western elements to please the Western market. But Squid Game showed us that you don't need to please anyone by playing their rules. You just be you, show your tradition, your styles, and everyone will love it, no matter Eastern or Western. So, let's try to answer the ultimate question. Why are we so obsessed with apocalyptic movies and shows? Other than reflecting societal failures and fear, this genre is meaningful to me in 3 different aspects. 1, it reminds me to live the moment. Like many of you, I have 100 items in my to-do list and 99% of them got shelved and never touched again. Apocalyptic movies urge me to make immediate choices and act now. They remind me life is short and time shouldn't be wasted in hesitation and procrastination. Number 2, these stories allow me to imagine and project the changes I want to see. Have you ever had any quixotic thoughts about changing the world, or taking control of your destiny, or simply to restart something? End-of-the-world scenarios provide a first-person perspective for me to fulfill my utopian desires and imagine myself as a survivalist. It allows us to restart our lives in fantasy. And number 3, most of the apocalyptic shows are not really about the end. They're about rebirth that comes afterwards. They target our deepest desire as humans that have been engraved in our gene across tens and thousands of years. To survive, to live, and to build. We are, after all, animals who have the inherent crave for fighting and surviving. Apocalyptic movies gave us an opportunity to realize these long-lost skills in our heads. The Greek word apocalypsis means to reveal something that's hidden. This is what apocalypse is about, revelation. What do they reveal for you? What's your favorite apocalyptic movie? Leave me a comment below. Like this video and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this episode. See you next week. Bye!